Hi, ladies, again. This is Belle, my lovely assistant here. You're asking about traditional teddy bear feet trimming, which I normally don't trim Belle's feet because she is being grown out. But she does get the bottom of her pad shaved, which I've already done the shaving because can be a little time consuming to speed up some time. So I'm going to show you how you go about trimming your feet as best as I can. I apologize for the quality of the video because it is from my laptop, but hopefully this will help you guys get a better idea of how to do your own foot trimming at home. First, you start out by having your dog, and you want to make sure she stays on the table, sitting, standing, whatever is easiest for you and the dog. I usually prefer them to sit, but sometimes they lay down if they get tired, which is fine, as long as you can still gain access to their feet. I am going to be using my curved shears. My straight shears aren't sharp enough to trim dog hair right now. They do need to be sharpened really badly, so I've been surviving by my curves. I wouldn't suggest you do this. It takes a lot of skill and practice with hand scissor trimming to be able to trim a straight line with curved shears. But being this is all I have right now, this is what I use. You start out with your slicker brush. She has already been pre-combed out for the day, but I'm still going to show you how to brush the feet to make sure there's no knots or tangles in the feet before you start trimming. I also use a metal tooth comb, which you see here again, to make sure there is no tangles or knots in the feet. That way I can remove them if necessary. And you want to just start off by having her sit down on her table, just like so. And then you're going to grab her foot and hold it lightly in your hand. Again, it depends on your dog and how well behaved they are on the table. If they're used to being on the table, then this shouldn't be a problem. But like I said, for dogs who aren't used to having this done, it can become a little bit more challenging for you to find ways to keep them comfortable and still. Lots of positive reinforcement. Belle's been trained to have this done since the day I got her. I groomed her, so she's pretty well used to it, but she is a 7-month-old puppy and gets very distracted because she is a natural blonde. So we start off by taking our pin brush, and you're just going to brush all the foot hair forward on the foot. There we go. She's going to lay down because she's tired. You start by brushing all the feet forward on the foot like so, to where it's all towards the front. And then you're going to take your scissor shear, and then you're just going to follow the natural roundness of the foot and cut the hairs, the jagged hairs sticking out to give it a nice round finished look. And you just want to cut just a little bit at a time. And then not go too far up because then you'll start cutting the leg hair. And if your coat's long, you don't want to do that. So just the tip of the foot. And you don't, just take a little bit off at a time, especially if you want to keep a nice long look. Otherwise you'll make it too short and then it's going to look funky with the body. So I'm just doing a slight trim just to make them appear round and give it that nice finished look. And like I said, her feet were already shaved before. So the bottom of her feet, there's no hair on it, which is the way it should be, as if you have hardwood floors or laminate like I do, they go sliding across the floor like Bambi on ice while they play. So to make it a little bit easier for traction, I trim the hair on the bottom of the feet. Now, if my assistant wakes up from sleeping, it might be a little bit hard to see because I don't have Zoom, but I'll try to make it as best as I can. If you can see the difference in the feet, whereas this one has been trimmed over here and this one has not. And you can kind of see a little bit of a difference between the look here, just to make it look a little bit natural. If your dog has an issue with you holding the feet, then you can also try trimming them with them just sitting on the table without picking up the foot. If they allow you to, just like so. And you can still trim around the foot without even lifting their foot off the table. I've had to do this with some customers' dogs who are really horribly arthritic. who don't particularly want their feet messed with because they hurt. And then we're going to go ahead and do the other front foot. Same thing. Just brush it forward. And again, she's going to lay down because she's tired. Just fine with me, as long as she sits still. Make sure they don't try to put their nose in the way, because you don't want to accidentally cut the hair on their face either. And again, you just want to do a little bit at a time here, just to even the foot. Make it look all nice and pretty, like little teddy bear feet. Doesn't require a whole lot for her. And just follow the natural contour roundness of the foot. I'm going to have her stand up real quick here. Lots and lots of combing and brushing. Get all the hair nice and flush so you can see what axis needs to be trimmed. And that way you can adjust it as such as needed. Just like so. And then now you can see how much nicer of a look that gives right there for those front feet. Kind of just blends it in a little bit better and not make it look so rough and rugged. Also, if you're wanting to trim the feet shorter, if your dogs are short coat, like a summer cut, then there are different steps to take to make the hair on the feet shorter as well. For the shorter cuts, usually when I'm shaving the body, I'll shave all over and follow the blade down across the top of the foot so that at least the top of the foot hair is the same length as the rest of the coat, so that's less scissoring work for you to have to do later on. And so all that will be left with just a little bit of I call it Dr. Seuss feet, of hair off the top of the foot. And if that's the case, then you just pick your foot up, and after you did the first step before of combing the hair forward and following the natural contour of the foot, you would brush all the hair to the right side like this. And then, again, you would just follow the natural contour of the foot just on this one side right here. And then you would do likewise on the other side and brush it all the hair over to the left side. And then again, just follow the natural contour of the foot. Not getting too close straight to the foot, but close enough to where you can cut the hair. And then when you're done, you just brush it back down to smooth it out. Now, as far as getting the legs nice and short and even finish, if you're shaving them short, you will be shaving the legs as well, unless you like having more of a schnauzer or Yorkie cut, where the back is shaved and then the rest is left long. But for a summer cut all over, what you would do is you would just pick up the foot and brush all the hair down on the leg, and it makes a nice little fan. And then you're just going to take your scissors and you're just going to go straight up the leg and again follow just the contour of the leg. Now, depending on how short you're wanting to go, you're going to need to pay attention to that stopper pad, that little pad that sticks out on the back of the leg, because that is a really high risk nick area and you can accidentally cut it if you're not paying attention to where it is. So what I usually do when I'm cutting is I stick my finger when I'm holding the leg and I put my finger and cover the top of it with my finger. That way I know exactly where it is and where not to cut. That way you don't accidentally nick your dog. And that's how you would do the front legs. Back legs, usually when you're shaving, you get most of the hair off, so there's really not as much left to do. With the back legs, there might be a little bit trimming here and there. Again, you just brush it away from the dog and just follow the contour of the leg down. And depending on how good your scissors are, if they're not sharp enough, it will make the hair look jagged and choppy looking. So I do recommend super sharp shears. Now with her back legs here, usually what I do, if you can see, these parts right here are getting a little long. I usually trim them up a little bit short so they're not dangling on the floor and picking up dirt. But they're not too bad, so I'm going to leave those alone for today on the back there. But I usually try to trim that up a little bit short just so it doesn't drag on the floor. If you can see, I don't know if you can see the bottom of her foot is free up here and has been shaved all the way through right in here. You don't go in between the toes here, just on the back of the foot right in here, just to make sure the pad is clean of hair so they don't slip. Again, same with the back legs, is you want to hold it up, not too high to where the dog's going to lose its balance, but just enough to where it's off the table. And make sure you give plenty of breaks if your dog needs breaks, because they do get tired and it is hard standing on 3 legs for them. And again, you just want to lightly follow the natural contour of the foot. Not taking a whole lot off, just a tiny little bit, just a little bit of a trim. Just like so. Keeping mind of the toenails. You don't want to accidentally try to cut one of those because the dog will get upset with you. And then just run your comb through it one more time. And then take a look at it on the table. And again, if you need to trim on the actual table, that's fine. Just make sure the dog is going to get ticklish a little bit, so you might have to hold the foot still the same. And again, if you're trying to do shorter feet on the back, just like the front, you would do the same steps just on the back foot. And for those of you who haven't trimmed your own dog before, the left back foot is going to be your hardest foot to trim, especially if you're right-handed, because of the angle. So don't get frustrated. If your dog is really wiggly, it may be a little bit harder for you to get that one last foot done. And always ask for help holding the dog still if you need it, if the dog is not going to sit still for you, because of the fact that the dog has a possibility of accidentally getting hurt, and you definitely don't want to accidentally hurt your dog experimenting. Let's go ahead and clean it up a little bit, I guess, there. There's one foot, and so now we got one more foot left to go. Only takes a couple minutes to do these feet, as long as the dog's sitting still. And same thing, just going to copy it. Also keep in mind too, Belle does have one rear dew claw on one of her feet, and I always make sure to locate it where it is right before I start. That way, you know to use caution, especially with the clippers when you're shaving the legs. If there's back rear dew claws, you got to be really careful not pressing too hard with the clippers, because you can accidentally cut them off. I know it's horrible, but the blades are really sharp, especially if they are brand new. So you got to be really careful and know what remember where those little things are underneath all that hair. It's easy to forget where they're at, but please make sure you do keep that in mind when you are trimming with scissors on the foot and or clippers, because you don't want to accidentally nick your dog. If you do, it's not completely the end of the world in most cases. Just make sure you have Nick Stop nearby, which is a powder that stops the bleeding, and make sure you always know your emergency vet phone number just in case you accidentally cut it and may need veterinary services. because it is a reality possibility. And it happens when working with dogs. It makes you feel horrible, but it does happen. It's all part of learning. You just try to avoid not doing it. And I don't know about you guys, but I am very meticulous about any little tiny straggly hairs. So I always quadruple check myself before I let any dog go to make sure that everything is looking peachy and everybody's happy. Give it one last overlook here. One last little comb out. And voila. And that is how you would go about doing a foot trim on your Shih Tzu or any other breed of dog. So hopefully for those who are grooming at home, this will help you out. If you already don't use these techniques, and always experiment what works for you, because some things that work for me may not work for you and your dog. It's all about experimenting and playing around and having fun and having a good time and having a healthy baby. That's what it's all about. So hopefully this will help you out, and I hope you guys have a great grooming experience and have a nice day. I'm going to say goodbye, Belle. You say bye-bye. You're so pretty.